no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Level 2 Podcast, Episode 8. We've made it through 8 weeks of new content is what that means.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. That's a whole, almost, that's 2 months, technically.
Blood, sweat, and tears, baby.
Yeah. It's been fun. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, welcome. Hello. If you listen to us on the other different subscription services, iTunes, Google Play, whatever, hello. My name is Keegan. I am one half of Level 2 Gamers, and I'm hanging out with my buddy Tom, who's the other half.
Hello.
How you doing? How you doing today?
Other half.
Yes, I feel like that sometimes.
I feel a little better. I'm still sick.
Yeah.
I definitely.
You gave it to your wife.
I did. She's upstairs right now watching Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little tired. I stayed up a little too late last night. Me and Cody and David play Overwatch.
Always stay up too late.
I know. Well, I was looking at the clock. I was like, I should go to bed. But so the problem was we were doing the arcade mode, which, by the way, we've decided we're gonna buy that game for you just so you can play with us on stream.
Do you know I don't like that?
I know,
game,
but we're gonna buy it.
I'm
so
not gonna play it
Yes,
because I don't like it.
But there's like if you get 6 wins, you get a loot box, so you can get new skins, whatever it may be. And he had 5 because he joined us one game late. Me and David had already gotten the 6, so we were trying to get it for him, and we just kept losing because we suck. By the way, this video is brought to you by good old Tigrado Power. Forgot to say that at the beginning. So he supports us on Patreon. Thank you so much. So he's the official sponsor of the Level 2 Podcast.
He is.
/Vidcast, Episode 8.
I think it's Tigrado, isn't it?
I don't know. It's Canadian.
I feel like he gets upset when I say Tigrado. So I think it's Tigrado. So I'm going to try and pronounce it right.
So.
Tigrado Power. What's his channel?
Tigrado Power.
Tigrado Power.
That's it. So look that up. I don't think he has a customized link yet. If it is, it's youtube.com/
I don't think there's that many Tigrado Powers to mix it up with.
He actually is closing in on 300 subscribers. As of last night, I think he was 293. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. So shout out to him. Go check him out. If you guys want to sponsor us, you just go over to patreon.com/Level2GamersSTL. I feel so weird saying this every time because I feel like I'm such an ad person.
I don't even know what the link is, so I rely on you.
Patreon.com/Level2GamersSTL.
Tell me that link again, Deegan.
Patreon.com/Level2GamersSTL. You can get fantastic things over there. If you hit $10 or more per month, you can be official sponsor of the video. We have other perks. If you just even $1, you get a shout out on social media. Anything a little bit helps. We actually, fun fact, I can't pull them because they're on the floor right now, but we got 2 new Phantom Power packs to hopefully fix with the little that's been going on.
So yeah, you may have noticed watching any of our videos recently that every once in a while you get this kind of like noise that comes out,
and I feel like it's happening more and more.
Yeah, and it's weird because we don't know what it is,
yeah.
And obviously it's difficult to pin down any kind of audio distortion. We do have a literal clusterfuck of cables here.
You guys can't see. The only cables you see are these ones and those ones.
Yeah,
down here
there's a rat's nest of cables down there, and so it could be something along those lines. But we thought it might be Phantom Power related, so we used the first batch of Patreon money to buy better equipment, like we said we were going to.
And actually, I don't have the box. Doesn't think I have the box. But
yeah, we put it on Instagram so you guys can see that. So,
but thank you.
But thank you for donating, and also thank you for sponsoring the podcast, Mr. Tigrado Power.
The lovely Canadian.
Yes, my favorite Canadian.
My brother's not your... You haven't met my brother, so... I
haven't met your brother, so Tigrado is my favorite. Him and the president, he seems like a nice chap.
The president?
Of Canada.
No, first of all, it's Prime Minister.
Fucking same difference.
The president of Canada.
Yeah, that guy. What's his name?
I don't know. I don't follow Canadian politics anymore.
him anyway.
I had the... I can't remember what his name was back in the day, but he was French. He was the Prime Minister. Like years ago. I mean, this was like late 90s, early 2000s. I remember there was controversy about
I think
him.
when I was born, Maggie Thatcher was president.
I don't know who that is.
Not president,
Prime Minister. Come on.
Prime Ministeress.
Prime Ministeress.
And I think it's still Prime Minister, but
yes.
I don't know.
Which is, that's a whole different conversation about sexism. But as usual, let's actually jump in. And what have you been playing? Anything fun?
You know what? I have been playing Final Fantasy.
Which is expected.
Yeah, because I was sick, as we've discussed previously, and I've actually had a time during my sickness to delve into that.
Did you get down with
deeper.
The sickness?
I got up with the sickness and played Final Fantasy. But I was playing that and digging a little deeper into that. So I'm still enjoying that. It's still early days, I feel like. I'm nowhere near nowhere near at a place where I can even really comment on the overall game, which makes me nervous because we're supposed to have our
We were supposed to record this
top
week.
5 coming up here soon, and that was definitely on the list.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's on the list, but it's because he hasn't played it. He just thinks it's good.
Yeah. Well, no, I am enjoying it a lot. I just I know that I'm taking my sweet time with it because they took their sweet time making the fucking thing, so I figure I may as well do.
Well, do you do
side
anything
quest.
fast? You don't do anything fast.
I don't.
Yeah.
But I'm doing all the side quests and everything, and I'm taking my time with it. I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. Far as movies and stuff, TV shows, etc. I mostly just, and I say this with love, I let my wife watch Pretty Little Liars because I fucking hate that show. But
she's no joke. I walked in upstairs and
she's obsessed in it now, and it's 6 or 7 seasons long. So
did you not research this before you let her?
No, I kind of knew it, but what happens is we sit down and she's like, "What do you want to watch?" And I'm like, "I don't care." She goes, "Cool," and then just plays Pretty Little Liars.
That's when you're like, no.
Great. I should have said something.
Yes. Now you're stuck.
I've mostly been watching the odd movie here and there. I watched a couple good movies, one of which we tried to do a review on, and it got instantly blocked by Universal.
Blocked.
We've
had 2 reviews blocked. This one and Zootopia.
Universal and Disney. Those fuckers.
It didn't surprise me, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't know that Universal did.
They all do.
Krampus, which was the movie that
I
reviewed.
I didn't know they did it. I don't even know what Krampus is.
It's really good, and that's the annoying thing
movie.
because I did it as a Christmas theme, but also it's actually a really good movie. And then the other one I did was Beyond the Gates, which should be coming out here probably tomorrow. So that's gonna be cool. That's a low budget indie horror movie about. Do you remember? You might not because you're a baby, but do you remember VHS board games?
No, I remember VHS, but not the board. I know what board games are. I know what VHS tapes are.
Right. So what they would do is they'd be like a board game that has a VHS, and you would play the VHS, and they would have a host on the VHS.
Yeah.
They would tell you how to play the game, but they were almost all horror based because they make it like spoopy.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a really good one in England called Atmosphere, FEAR, and there was that same one was called Nightmare in the US. So you may, if you're listening, you may recall the game Nightmare or Atmosphere, depending on where you're listening. But it was basically like you would put in the VHS and it would be like a Crypt Keeper style guy.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be like, welcome
Kind of
to
like
the game.
it's kind of like if you went on a Disney ride where they have the videos beforehand and tell you about
little bit,
what's happening.
yeah. But
Get you
you're like,
prepared.
but he'll tell you to do kind of crazy shit. Like one of the things he would do would be like, I need you to come closer. You get right up to the screen and he'd be like, closer still. You come, and then he'd scream at you,
Yep.
and then you're like, it's that kind of stuff. It's goofy, but at the same time, it was definitely a product of the era. So it's a whole movie based on those or that. And not a documentary, like
You
an
gotta
actual.
make sure you rewind that movie though, otherwise you're in trouble.
Yeah,
gotta
Be
make sure
Kind, Rewind.
that movie was all right. I enjoyed it a little bit.
The movie Be Kind, Rewind?
Yes.
It was not bad.
Yeah, it
nice
wasn't
to see.
good. It wasn't bad.
Nice to see
It's kinda
Yassine Bey doing movies.
Yep.
But so that review's going up. So I'm at the point now where I basically have given up on doing AAA reviews because fucking they're never going to get past the censors.
We've been talking about anything that gets blocked, potentially putting up on Patreon.
Yes, so
'cause
that
we
might
can't put it
be a
anywhere
good
else.
reason to join the Patreon, because what we're thinking about doing is anything that gets blocked and or any bloopers
Which
or
there's
outtakes
a lot
or
of those.
we do. I've been storing some of them. We can sort of put those all together and put those in a different place away from the YouTubes and just share those with our Patreons as a fun little bonus. Yeah, and a thank you. So, but yeah, that's what I've been doing. What have you been doing?
I've been playing a lot. Actually, I've not been playing that many video games. This past week was a lot of editing and a lot of just kind of not playing video games and sleeping, which is weird for me. The one thing I've really gotten into is I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos. The Last Guardian came out. I have no interest in buying that game. I wanted to see what it was about. So I've been watching Jacksepticeye play through it. And it was funny because I was telling Cody and David last night, I was like, I think I enjoy it more because I see his excitement for this game. More than if I played it, I'm like, oh, this is cool, but it's not a type of game I think I would enjoy normally. But watching him get so excited and be like, oh my God. And it's great watching Trico, which is the big bird dog thing. Bird cat, I think technically is what it is. But the way that thing moves, there's one moment that him and me had the same reaction where they were trapped in a cave-like thing, and Trico goes to walk over you. It's a giant. I mean, this thing is 3 times, 4 times, 5 times the size of you. And he goes to walk, and he goes to step on the player, and he stops because he recognizes the player's there and lifts his paw up and steps over. Like, the intelligence of something like that is so cool. Or like ducking its head when it's near a wall so it doesn't hit the wall.
That's been kind of a lot of the overall view of that, I think. A lot of people have said that there are moments in that game
There's some cinematic moments that
just
are
unbelievable, but then there's also a lot of shit in there. So it's kind of had these mixed reviews of...
The controls, from what I can tell, is the worst part of the game.
Yeah.
Which I've heard... I've not played Shadow of the Colossus or Eco, but I've heard that also is a complaint for those games, is the controls were not as good as they should have been.
Those games were bizarre, because Eco was basically just a puzzler. There was nothing special about Eco other than the aesthetic and the fact that a lot of people enjoyed the aesthetic. And it's a very calming game, because there was no music. It was just kind of, there was just lots of little... They have like weird little yelpy noises that they do. It's almost like Sims. And but Shadows of the Colossus was a different deal, because Shadows of the Colossus was dealing with all kinds of weird subtext, because they put you in this giant open world. They show you that there's these giant monsters. They tell you to kill them,
fight.
And then they don't explain why. Why am I killing these great big beautiful monster things? And and there's no other enemies. Just it's literally a game where you kill like 16 bosses and that's it. So very bizarre. But again, the aesthetic was there, and there's a kind of this search function of having to try and find these monsters to begin with, and then figure out how to climb them. And so that game was really, really well done. It was actually highlighted in the movie Reign Over Me with Adam Sandler.
That Adam.
Yeah, that one. And if you've ever seen Reign Over Me, it's one of his not funny movies. It's about he's like a 9/11 vet or something, and they highlight that game in there as being this kind of game you can get involved in, and they were using it as a metaphor in that game, in that movie as well. So so that game has rightly earned its praise. Also, they released a 3D version, which I have played, and it is quite cool. But saying that, I was excited for The Last Guardian for about 2 seconds, and then as soon as I saw kind of what the dynamic was, I knew what it was going to be like. I knew it was going to be
I think
Eco with a big bird dog.
Because I feel like, again, I haven't played the other two, but the relationship between you and Trico is amazing. I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm going to say this potentially could be a spoiler, but I don't think it is. Just a gameplay spoiler or mechanic is there's these guys that attack you and attack Trico, and he can murder them because he's huge. So once he's done, though, he's freaking out, so you have to pet him to calm him down. And it's just like those moments like that, or like if you sit there and
they've
you
always
sit down,
done that very well.
I love to me that's really cool. It's not a game I would play personally, but watching somebody else play it I'm enjoying that.
I like that it exists. I like that it actually came to fruition after the amount of years it was in development hell. But at the same time, I have little to no want to play it. Maybe if it drops in price drastically with a flash sale, I'll pick it up just to experience it. But I really have very little interest in it, and I feel like that's the majority opinion, because whenever you see any posts, especially by PlayStation, on it and Facebook or whatever, all the comments are kind of like, I'm not even slightly looking forward to this.
Yeah. Like I said, to me, I feel like I'm watching a movie essentially.
Yeah.
That's what.
And I'm sure it's done
once I'm done,
well.
I'm done. Yeah.
Is it weird that Trico rhymes with Eco?
No.
Dun, dun, dun.
Trico is it's a combination of two Japanese words, which means bird and cat. That's where Trico comes from.
Bird and cat?
Yeah, it's a cat bird. It's not a cat dog or bird dog.
Even though it's obviously a dog.
No, it's a cat. The way it moves is a cat. Like it has way more feline tendencies.
Well, now I'm definitely not going to play it because fuck cats.
Okay.
Yeah, don't like cats. Sorry, don't like them.
TV-wise, Netflix. I actually just finished a series of documentaries. I guess mini documentaries.
Good,
whatever
you
you
being
want to call them. They were basically, I can't remember who it was. It was somebody Oliver. Can't think of his first name right now. That produced
Jamie?
it. Maybe.
Does he say pucka a lot and cook food?
No.
Not him then.
No.
Oh.
It's the one where it talks about
Oliver Stone?
Yeah.
It's the Untold History of
Yes,
the
that
United
one. I've
States.
been watching that. So that's actually really cool because it kind of takes the US perspective and says, "Hey, you guys done fucked up. Think about this." And not that he's bashing America for what they did. He's just like, "Hey, think about this."
History is written by the winners.
Yes.
And
Well, it's also written by where you're from.
Right.
I mean, that's the other thing. When I was in Canada, I didn't learn about the American Revolution. It was called the Colony Conflict at the time. Mm-hmm. So it's like, to them, it's not a revolution.
To us, it wasn't even in. And people ask me about that. What did you learn about the American Revolution? And we were like, what American Revolution?
We don't
we
care.
didn't get taught any of that at all. It was just like,
because it didn't affect you.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. Is it's whatever and again, if you're doing like U.S. history, obviously it's only going to be about the U.S. If you're doing English history, it's about England. But if you're doing world history,
was almost entirely about World War II, which is interesting.
Makes sense.
Which is more world history.
When we did world history, it's just funny because you learn about it again from our perspective of like we joined the war because Japan. You talk a little bit about why we didn't want to join the war before. I'm a big basically World War I to World War II. I love that time period just because everything that happened in World War I made World War II happen, and then everything happened in World War II made the Cold War happen, and the Cold War made Iraq happen.
I might use different phrasing than I love that time period.
That
time period was pretty nasty.
No, I'm not saying it like that, but like I'm fascinated.
I loved Hitler. He was great.
I'm fascinated by it, just kind of how
it is
cause and effect type.
You
thing.
are interested in that period,
and it's still going on to today. So if you think about it, the only reason, not the only reason, but one of the reasons we were in Iraq and Afghanistan is because of George Bush, the first one. So George W. went back.
George Bush, the first one.
The first George.
The prequel.
Yeah, the first George. So because of him, George W. went to Iraq and then to Afghanistan, finished what his dad did.
Finished daddy's work.
Do you know why we were in Iraq the first time, though?
Oil, probably.
Oil, and partially because we were scared of the Soviets getting it. So that goes back to the Cold War. Well, why did the Cold War happen? Because World War II, the Soviets were the other powerhouse. We didn't want them to spread communism.
And we are getting right back to that point, aren't we? Let's be honest, with all this Russia stuff going on, it's kind of making me a little nervous.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say it's kind of gone full circle, and it's weird because one of the points I recommend anybody watch this, at least the last episode, or I recommend all of it, but the last episode.
So I know what you're talking about.
So
it's
very
good, very good show.
At the very last episode, he kind of stops and says, "Look, we're done here. We talked about everything," because it ends at the Obama administration, so it gets all the way up to current day. Well, as current as it can with being a documentary. But he goes on and says, "Look, kind of think about what you're doing. We're all humans here. Why are we fighting each other? What is the point of all this?"
Which is interesting for Oliver Stone, who is known for making the most violent movies.
I don't know who he is.
Do you ever seen Natural Born Killers?
No.
Well, it was Oliver Stone.
Sounds like a natural born.
Exactly.
Sounds like a violent movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been watching that, and I just finished it last night, and then I watched the two. Because they have the season, and they have the two bonus episodes that were kind of episode B of it. There's one directly for 1920 through 1940, and how capitalist America controls our country, which I'm not going to get into, but...
it's fascinating.
It really is. Because I love political. I watch anything on Netflix that involves.
Surprises
World War
me that you
II.
enjoy that. Gotta say,
I love it.
You don't, because you're kind of.
I love that, and I love cartoons.
Yeah, that was you said it for me. It's kind of like you're so into like innocence and happy-go-lucky things, and for you to be intrigued by like a genuine political / historical documentary.
I love that kind of. Like I said, specifically, I'm interested in Nazi Germany and kind of because
interested is a good word.
Yes, little fun fact. In high school, I wrote a paper called, I'm going to explain myself. Oh
God, no, not this.
Called "Why Hitler Was Good for the World." Bad title. I agree. I start off the paper.
That is the original clickbait, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, so what it was I wanted my teacher shocked. Like that was the point when I handed it in, because basically the prompt was.
It's at this point that we have to disclaim that that Hitler was in fact not good for the world.
I was going to get to that,
but Keegan was using clickbait as a title. So we love everyone.
Try to go on YouTube.
I'll let him explain.
So, anyways, but what the prompt was what was Hitler's impact on the world? And I was like, okay. Everybody's going to be like, well, it sucked because of the concentration camps, because of the murders, because of all this. And yes, that is horrible. Don't get, like...
yes, the murders.
That is horrible. Don't get me wrong. I do not agree with Hitler. I'm not a fan of Hitler. I think he is one of the worst human beings to ever live in the world. But I challenged myself to kind of look at it from a different perspective, which I think a lot of times we don't look at other perspectives. We just look at the one either we're told or the one that kind of we see first. And my perspective was like, okay... He's this horrible man. Did anything come out of his regime that propelled us forward? We got to the fucking moon because of Hitler, because of Nazis' engineering. Granted, they were making weapons. We used it to go to the moon. Different things.
Nazi scientists were good scientists. They did bad things, but they were really smart.
And we learned a lot about the medical field because of testing on humans. Again, testing on humans is horrible. I do not agree with doing it. But because of that... we got this. Happened. So that's kind of like, that's the premise I went on. So again, I'm not a fan of Hitler at all, but that title I wanted to, again, it grabs your attention. That's what we were still in school.
Guess
to make
what we're calling this episode?
No,
that's not.
No,
but He's told me that before, and I like the idea that you did that. I like the idea that you
got me in some hot water, obviously.
I can imagine.
Understandably so.
I can imagine.
I wrote this when I was in New York in a very heavy Jewish neighborhood as well.
Yeah.
So that didn't go over well. But when I explained myself, because it was one of those things where
it should have a parentheses. It should have been why Hitler was good for the world. Parentheses. Let me explain.
Yeah.
Before you judge anything.
So because it started out like my classroom, obviously, because my school was really small. It was 425 people. My graduating class was 120 something. But it started off with that classroom, like, okay, and I could explain myself in that classroom. Well, when so-and-so said, hey, did you hear what Keegan wrote? And it kind of goes, and telephone happens, and people lose details, and I'm like, I had to talk to the principal about it, and he's like, why did you write this? I go, you can go talk to Miss Reisenbeck, which is my English teacher at the time.
I commend you for doing that. I think it's a tough subject to tackle. You definitely took it to a different place that a lot of people would have been too afraid to have taken it to.
Mm-hmm. Well, I in my defense, I did ask my English teacher if she was cool if I did it. And I told her my idea of how I was going to preface it and how I was going to phrase it to make sure I didn't do anything
definitely
offensive.
think the clickbait title was your only mistake in that.
Yeah.
In that. But I think if you would have said
I couldn't think of any other title, though.
Is there actually anything good that the world received due to the life of
That's a long-ass title, though.
It is a long-ass title, but it's more... It will get you in less trouble.
Yes.
That's for sure.
So
anyway.
Nazi Germany. I'm... intrigued by that time period.
It is fascinating, and when we grew up in school, that we learned a lot about that type of thing, the Geneva Convention, that kind of stuff. Like, because obviously for England, World War II was a lot of a bigger deal because we were bigger.
Because you were there,
a bigger role in that. Well, not personally, but yeah.
You were there.
It was.
I'm actually Winston Churchill.
Fat enough. But it was, it was obviously a pivotal role in us. It's also one of the reasons why we got things like universal healthcare, which America did not get out of that, which is one of the again, a kind of a benefit, because after going through all of that pain and misery and suffering, our government turned around and said that will never happen again. No one is ever going to be without the ability to take care of themselves. So they made the NHS, the National Health Service, and that's why everyone in England does not have to pay for healthcare. So, there's lots of things that happen when things reach a boiling point, but the problem is the boiling point. Yeah. And I'm really worried about where we are right now.
Get back to it.
Really worried about where we are right now.
Yeah, I had that after again finishing that last night. I was in the same point where I was like, a lot of these sound eerily similar. Again, it's one of those things. I don't want to call Trump Hitler, because I don't think he's as bad as him. There's the possibility to be.
I don't think he's Hitler at all. I just think he is
he's naive.
A demagogue, and he is someone that is going to potentially, definitely naive. But I mean, I honestly don't think he's done a hard day's work in his life, and I think that because of that, like saying things like, "Oh, I'm smart. I don't need intelligence briefings."
That one made me scared, because there's
seriously?
briefings. I mean, there's a reason a president goes from not gray to super gray. In the presidency, it's a stressful job, and the other thing is obviously you have to worry about public opinion. Nobody's going to like everybody. That's just the way it is.
Did you see he met with Kanye West this morning?
No.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about at this point. He met with Kanye West.
I don't have an issue with that, because presidents meet with celebrities all the time.
True.
I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue with him saying I'm not going to do my job because of what's going on.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that's hit most people in the nuts about this. Wherever you land on the political spectrum, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that voted for Trump that listen to our show, and that's fine.
Unless you're in the Netherlands, they didn't even vote for anybody.
Yeah, I mean that's your right as a citizen to do that.
Was it Voltaire that says, "I may not agree with what you say, but I'll defend you to my death to say it"?
That's exactly nice bit of quote you pulled.
See, I'm smarter than I look and act.
But I do think that, that where we're at right now, having a dismissive attitude of a lot of these types of things is going to get us in some serious hot water. And I think it's almost like at this point he's purposely choosing cabinet members to run agencies that hate that agency. Recently he just announced Rick Perry to be the head of the energy agency.
As you know, I don't follow politics.
Rick Perry is the Texas governor, and he famously, when he ran for president, forgot. They were like, "What are 3 things that you're going to do?" And he's like, he said number 1, he said number 2. He goes, "The third one, I forget." And then that was a big joke. It was like, how do you forget the third fucking talking point that you have? The point that he forgot is now the one he's going to be in charge of.
Oh, that's fun.
So it's almost like a joke. It's like they're taking people that are like shit at education and want to just just burn that to the ground and being like, you're now head of education. It's like, I don't get it. But, it's, again, I don't want to get too heavy into politics, but...
Welcome to Level 2 Podcast, the #1 political podcast that talks about video games.
It's definitely at a point now where I am slightly nervous.
I think we're kind of just...
for the world.
I think we're just saying, kind of be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, be aware.
Again, even as
Educate
somebody like me who doesn't follow politics, I've said it before, but I feel like this election made me have to at least somewhat follow it, just because...
And question what you're following, because the amount of, and this is a thing as well, this fake news thing that's going out where people are just posting anything and everyone's taking it as gospel because people are fucking idiots generally. Myself included. I'm sure I've done
There's
that
an
before.
article tying it back to World War II. There's an article bashing Google saying they're promoting false statements. So if you type in "did the Holocaust," it'll say "did the Holocaust happen" as the first search result. And Google puts an article up there that gives reasons why the Holocaust did not happen.
Which,
to my opinion on that, is that's not Google's doing their job to find those search results
Google
that
is
person
giving
looking
people
for.
what they're looking for.
Yes,
which I don't disagree
because
with.
I'd have a bigger issue if Google did censor that, because if they censor that, what's stopping them from censoring something else somebody else doesn't like?
And I'm sure they censor a fair amount of things, but it's
I'm sure.
But it's it's
but stuff like that.
We're at a really scary place in America right now, and as a non-American, and you are kind of like almost like a half American, half breed.
I'm a half blood.
It's definitely a good time to play video games, Keegan, because video games take you out of the real world.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
And help you feel better about everything else.
Our bonus level question today is actually one we've answered a few times on different videos.
Bonus round.
We should make a thing for that.
We should just have like one button that does that.
I don't think we're that clever.
Well, I can just do it every time.
Yeah. But our bonus level question today kind of pertains to that in video games and getting out of the real world. It's from good old Blue Moon Gaming.
Blue Moon.
Patreon supporter at patreon.com/level2gamersstl. I'm going to do that plug again.
You got that fast. I like that.
Patreon.com/level2gamers. Level2gamersstl is really easy to say.
Level 2 Gamers STL.
Yeah, like because there's no letters back to back, except for technically the two S's, but it's Level 2 Gamers STL, because you say the S, you don't say SS.
That's true.
God damn it!
God damn it, Keegan.
we both just had a realization.
What is happening in this podcast?
Oh, but anyways, the question.
Don't say SS.
Okay. Question is, what got you into gaming and the culture around it? What is the Level 2 origins?
Level 2 origins.
Oh, my origins are I came from my mom.
Did you?
And that was it. That's my origin.
I came from my dad. It was a weird time. No.
Oh, he's the dude in the news, the pregnant man.
Yeah, Junior. So, okay. All right. So, what was that again? So, it's what got you into gaming.
What got you into gaming and the culture around it.
How we started.
Yes.
We've answered this a little bit, but we can go into more detail. I mean, it's a podcast, We tend to talk anything. Clearly, at this point, there's no holds barred. So
people like us telling.
Do you want to start?
I can.
Go for it.
So, I'm fuzzy on like my first video game I played. I want to say it was probably Super Mario, if I had to take a guess, because we had an NES. It was either Mario or Duck Hunt, one of the two. It was that cartridge. We had an NES. We lived in Canada at the time. I don't think we had in California when we lived there, but we had in Canada. We had it in my room. Me and my sister would play all the time. Like, we had the running mat back in the day for the track and field game. So NES is kind of what my first console was. Again, Mario was pretty much all I played on there.
Which
and Excite
one?
Bike. Super Mario Brothers, the first one.
The first one.
Yeah,
okay.
the first one. Which
is not technically the first Mario game.
No, first Mario game on
it's
NES.
technically the first game
on the console.
Like with Mario as the star.
Yes.
Yep.
So
I was just throwing Donkey Kong in there for a bit of praise.
Actually, that's Jumpman. That's technically not Mario.
Jumpman. That's a easy song.
Yeah, I don't know.
Bringing it all back. Okay, yeah. Anyway, Mario.
So Mario, we used to play that all the time. I played that, Excite Bike, and Duck Hunt. That fucking Duck Hunt, by the way, if you miss. It makes me mad. So I started with that. It kind of was one of those things where, again, I was really little. My sister was 3 years older than I am, so she kind of had that as her thing, but I would play with her. We do 2-player.
So your sister was a gamer before you were a gamer?
Kind of.
You
not
were the
really.
Sibling. Were you the one that used to creep into the room and just kind of like stare over her shoulder and be like, "What you doing?"
No.
No.
The system was my room because she. Little fun fact: she didn't want to. We had bunk beds back in the day, and she didn't want to stay in the same room as me. So we actually put her in a closet, a storage closet, became her room. It's no joke, probably the size of your floor.
Your sister lived in a closet.
She did. She legitimately lived in a closet.
Was she waiting on a letter from Hogwarts?
No. That's pretty much what it was like, though, because it was really tiny.
Did you feed her
we
pins?
got her a custom wardrobe that would fit in there, that would sit in the middle of the room, because she couldn't have anything on the wall because there's no room. Because by the time she put her bed there, it's the door. So she literally lived in the closet because she didn't want to stay in the same bedroom as me. So that was fun.
Has
Thanks,
your sister
Kelsey.
since come out of the closet?
She has her own apartment.
Oh, okay.
But anyways... so
Double entendres are great. Yes. Carry on.
But NES was my first foray, and then I would go at Grandma's house where all my cousins. My mom's the youngest on that side of the family. Has 4 older siblings, so we are by far the youngest. And I was the youngest for the longest time until my little brother came along. But we would all go hang out in Grandma's bedroom and play Donkey Kong Country, and that's where my love for that game came from. I used to suck really bad at it. I could never get past like the second world, but I'd watch my cousins and be like, "How the hell are you? How did you do that?" Like. I don't know if it's just an age thing because I guess they're older, so they're better at it, and also might have been an attention thing where I was like, I'm done, I don't want to go back. But what sucks is save files.
Attention like getting on your nerves after not doing it a couple times.
Yeah,
but yeah.
What sucks is save files got deleted there, and you'd get real angry at cousins real quick.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, this is my save file because there's only 3 slots, but there's 15, 18 of us. So
18.
Yeah, I mean there's 5 kids total,
Christ.
So 3 kids per parent or per. 3 kids per kid.
Was that pre-designed?
No.
Did you write down?
No, it's not actually.
You shall have 3 children.
No,
bear
it just kind of happened.
3 seeds.
I want to say it's 18.
18.
We're pretty close.
Man, a lot of
yeah, she's got a lot.
Big family.
A lot of them are older. Like most of them are in their 30s and 40s. Like I said, we're kind of the young. My brother is the youngest of the first cousins.
I have 5.
That's how my dad's side of the family is. So I have.
That's on both sides.
Oh Jesus.
5 total.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because my dad's side, he has his brother, and they have 3 kids. I already had 3 kids.
Actually, I think I probably have more. That's a lie. I have more. No, and well, I'll get into mine after. Go on.
But yeah, so
very bizarre family.
So we'd hang out at Grandma's and play Donkey Kong Country. She also had a couple of that's where I played Lion King first initially. That fucking I could not get past the second. Can't wait to be king. Those damn monkeys. I think I passed that once. Yes. And
22 years ago, that was released.
I know, I saw that.
Yeah, I thought I'd share that with you.
So
22 years.
I played that. I was 3.
It's older than you.
I was 3.
You were 3. You're 25.
Yeah, we're gonna be 26 in March.
Aw.
But yeah, so we played Grandma's. That's kind of where like my social aspect of gaming came in, and then the big one, the one that got me into gaming, the one that hooked me and grabbed me by the balls and like this is what you're gonna do, was the N64. The reason being is I remember for Christmas, and this was very weird for my family. Well, not weird that we got it, but weird that the situation is going to happen here. But we got an N64, we got Mario 64, and we got some other...
When you say you got an N64, did your family buy it for the family, or did they buy it for you or your sister specifically?
I think it was a split present for both of us because of how much it cost.
Gotcha.
I think it was one of those ones.
It was like, this is for the children.
Yeah, because it stayed in the living room. It didn't go to a bedroom because my parents... Other than the NES, because they're a little bit older, like, we don't want to have video games in your room. We want to make sure what you're doing. You need to not hang out in there. And this is also before everybody had a TV in their bedroom.
I was way opposite.
Really?
I was such a private child. God. In my room.
We all hung out together when my dad was home because he was always gone. So we'd have, quote unquote, family time. It was usually us just watching TV.
My parents would never let me play because they always wanted to watch television. So I was like, well, fuck this. I'm going to my room. So
I'm going to play
video games.
Well, I got that eventually. But so the Christmas we got it had to be, well, I don't want to say they came out in 96. I think we got it the Christmas it came out, or maybe the year after. I can't remember. But I remember vividly sitting down in our living room in Canada, and there's 2 French doors that open up. We had a wood stove. There's French doors that open up. We opened those up because the wood stove got so hot. And we're all playing Mario 64. Like my mom, my dad, people who don't play sports, don't play video games. I was thinking my next point.
This is e-sport.
Yeah. Don't play video games. We're playing with us. They weren't very good, and they didn't enjoy it, but I think they were kind of excited to see we were enjoying it.
Did your mom do the mom jump?
I don't think so.
My mom always did the mom job.
The boop.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fine.
This is something from an early episode that we wanted to carry on and we never did. Inside fact for you.
Yeah.
One of us, and I can't remember who it was now, we were talking about
think it was Jordan.
Parents playing games. It might have been Jordan, yeah. Talking about parents playing games and how your mum, if she was playing a game, would always do the mom jump, which is like if you're playing Sonic or something, she'd like jump with it. Like the whole controller would go like this.
Which now makes sense because it's motion controls.
Right.
That's probably why Nintendo did it. Like people are already doing it.
My mom did that all the time. Playing, we were Sonic, obviously, but you know, the enemy. But yeah, she would do that. Anyway, continue. You French doors.
So French doors, hot, playing Mario together. That first Christmas was a lot of fun. I think it's weird because I'm sure you can talk to it, but I didn't have the issue going from 2D to 3D because it was just natural. The weirdest part to me was that damn controller. It was just you didn't know how to hold it.
Yeah.
Because first I held it on the two sides, and they had the weird thing
I think
in the
it's
middle.
better for smaller hands.
I had no issues that I can remember.
Donald Trump would be great with an N64 controller. But yeah, it's I don't know. It took me a while to get you because I have big thumbs, as you know.
Better hitchhike
I don't know
with.
if you can see them, but yeah, I got Megan Fox disease, and that's not called Megan Fox disease. Do you know what these are called? Clubbed thumbs because they look like clubs.
It's like hitchhikers.
But the gypsies had a word for them, and they called them murderers' thumbs.
So did you murder somebody?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I'm planning on it.
Okay.
I won't tell you who.
I'm gonna run away
It'll
now.
be a surprise.
On the next Level 2 Friday
But
video.
yeah, gypsies were well scared of thumbs like these, so don't annoy me. And then yes, continue. Sorry, keep interrupting you. It's like opposite day.
Yeah, so we did Mario 64, and then a few years later, maybe a year or two later, we got Madden, which is the one I remember playing the most with my dad. We moved to our second house in Canada. I was up on the third floor. That's when the N64 moved to my room because the way our house was set up it was a really nice house, by the way. It used to be a bed and breakfast that turned into a house. The second floor, which is where all the rest of my family hung out, was my parents' bedroom at the end of the hall, my sister down there, and then we had a third floor. My parents were like, there was a spare bedroom on that second floor that ended up becoming my little brother's bedroom, but my parents were like, you can either have the third floor by yourself and live with, because the third floor bedroom is probably the size of your basement. We're talking a good probably 30 feet long. Is it a long, narrow room? You can either have the third floor by yourself with the flower wallpaper for years, or you can have the bedroom downstairs and we'll let you paint the walls. And I said, fuck that. I want the third floor by myself because I thought it'd be cool. It's actually terrifying to be on a floor by yourself at night when it creaks because you know what the hell's going on.
Also, got to be quite hot, I imagine. Heat rises, correct? So yeah, you would be in it'd be pretty hot.
But in winter, it was kind of nice.
Yeah.
So
I suppose.
But yeah, it got toasty. I always had a fan on. My parents would always complain that I always had a fan upstairs. I was like, I need my fan. To this day, even if it's like, even last night I had a fan on. Like, it doesn't have to be pointing at me. It just has to be noise. But I had the N64 upstairs, and my dad, we'd play Madden 99 together, like constantly. He would always play as Barry Sanders of the fucking Detroit Lions, and I sucked at that game because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I would love to. Oh, we should have him on for a video. We should get that game and have him play with us again.
We can do that.
That'd be fun. But we would play that game for hours, and then it got to the point where he would just continually beat me, and I'd stop. So then we'd play Tony Hawk or something, so then I could beat him.
Gotcha.
So
he didn't let you win.
No.
Fair enough.
I think he let me win a few.
Parenting.
Yeah, I think he let me win a few just to make it feel good.
Well done, David.
Yeah. But playing with my dad, I remember the most. And then the kind of big foray into what I consider my gaming habits now. So that was just like my introduction to like gaming in general. So N64 with Mario Kart, obviously. I didn't have Super Smash Brothers. I was not allowed because I was too young. Like my parents didn't like the concept of them beating on each other.
What did they think Mario was doing to all them Goombas and turtles?
Yeah, but it's different when you're doing that versus intentionally fighting somebody. Like,
pretty sure he was intentionally sitting on those turtles' faces.
Yeah, I guess. But
hello.
So Wave Race was another one I got into.
I like Wave Race. And Pilot Wings.
Fun. Yes, Pilot Wings was another one we had at launch that we played initially. But the kind of, like I was saying, the foray into what I consider what I game now is when I got the Xbox. So I went straight from Nintendo to Microsoft. I did not own a PlayStation. As I've said before, to me, PlayStation was the devil. I thought it was stupid. It was for these weird Japanese games.
That's because you were a petulant child.
Yes. It really was. No, so this is even without even know the Nintendo, Sony, what happened, background. But I liked Nintendo because of the kid games. That's what it was.
Because you know the PlayStation was supposed to be Nintendo,
yes,
right?
It was supposed to be the Nintendo PlayStation.
So you would
I did not know that at the
with
time.
With your loyalties that you would have gone the other way.
But Nintendo said fuck you because Sony said fuck you, so
And now look where we are.
Yes, I'm on PlayStation. But anyway, so I switched to Xbox. Obviously, Halo was the killer app there. A lot of my friends got it, and I
Halo
think that
saved that system. I don't think that system was going to survive without Halo.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting though because I was one of the few kids that had the Xbox because two reasons. One, it was so damn expensive. We paid, to give you an idea what we got for this is Canadian dollars, by the way, not American dollars, but 800 Canadian dollars. I got an Xbox. My sister got a trampoline for her birthday.
The same price?
I assume so. My parents are pretty good at doing that. That's
Okay.
why. That's why she got a trampoline because my Xbox was so expensive.
$800 trampoline, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it had a net around it. It was fun. I played with it a lot. I lost a few teeth on it. It was a good time.
Okay.
But Xbox, we would come in, we'd do LAN parties, we'd all get Halo. This is back before online. For those of you who don't know, there used to be a time when you could not plug it into the internet. It did have a
You could, but
yeah.
it wasn't worth it,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yes.
I mean,
So
you could put the Dreamcast onto the internet, but it really wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
The Dreamcast had its own disc that was to allow you to access the World Wide Web, and it was fucking stupid. Anyway, continue.
So Halo was the first one that kind of got me into big multiplayer games. So at that point, I'd mainly been playing with my sister, or maybe one-off with friends. My buddy Will had an N64, and he had Shadows of the Empire, and I was so jealous. Every time I go over to Will's house, I'm like, Will, can we play? And he had GoldenEye. I didn't have GoldenEye. My parents wouldn't allow it, because guns. It's real weird, because they're not as much of a stickler anymore from my little brother, because they're like, fuck it, we figured it out for the first two. They're kind of...
They're still fucked up anyway.
Yeah.
Let him have his guns.
Yeah.
Just buy real guns, see what happens.
Well, he has airsoft guns now, too.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, it was like we couldn't even have squirt guns, and now he has airsoft guns. It's like, come on, that's not fair. But anyways, I would go to Will's house and play GoldenEye together with a bunch of friends, or we would go, like I said, Shadows of the Empire to me was the big one.
Can I ask you a question about GoldenEye? Did you ever do the cardboard blocking method?
No.
Okay.
We were screen lurkers. Like extreme.
Assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was too. I'm sure Will was too. I was.
For those of you listening or watching that don't know what the cardboard blocking method is, it was a method that was devised, I'm sure, by a very smart person.
Probably in college,
We
I'm guessing.
made it up. Like we didn't know it was a thing. We just figured it out. But I'm sure everyone did it, except for you, apparently. But we
didn't. We just didn't. We trusted everybody.
Which is clearly a bad idea. Well, what you would do is you would get some cardboard from off a cardboard box or whatever, and then you would put a big cross on your TV screen. You'd make a big old cross on there, and then you would have two people lay down on the floor looking up, and they wouldn't be able to see left or above them. And then you'd have two people on chairs sat on top of the two people, which is a very trustworthy place to be. And they would be at top, but they wouldn't be able to see any screen around them. So you essentially, it was like playing online because you could only see your own screen because you had horse blockers on for the other screens, which made the game infinitely more fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, we never did that.
So that was that's a pro tip for those of you that just got an N64
You still play GoldenEye
and want to play without staring at Oddjob's screen. There you go.
So
I was Oddjob, by the way, all the time. Not because he was a cheat, but because
I think I was Oddjob too, just
short.
because I liked his name. Yeah, I was a short kid too.
Yeah.
So
identified.
Yeah. So Xbox, Halo, like I said, was kind of the big thing, and then from there it's kind of built. And it started out again. I grew up in a very privileged upbringing. Again, I got an Xbox for my
Golden
birthday.
toilets, the whole time.
Yeah, we had 24 karat gold toilet. No,
like 14. No, 14 was for peasants.
Yeah, but no, I got a lot of things that a lot of people couldn't afford, and what that meant to a certain extent, it's really interesting looking back on it. But a lot of people came to my house because I had these things. They were my friends. Like, don't get me wrong, they didn't come over just to play these games. We were friends and did other things like play basketball outside. But they would always come to my house because I had this. We had the basement to hang out in.
You had the most interesting house.
Yes, we had the basement to hang out in. I had the third floor to myself, so I don't know why I did this, but my Xbox was in the basement. My N64 was in my room on the third floor, which are two opposite ends of the house. Did it? I think I hooked the Xbox into the basement.
You gotta get exercise somehow.
Yeah.
If you're gonna sit there and play video
I
games.
hooked the Xbox into the basement because the TV was bigger. I think that's got to be why, because
those HD graphics.
Yeah. Well, they were 480.
Those X Squad graphics.
Yes. So we'd have people come over and play Xbox games. I played a lot of sports games growing up. A lot of friends came over. And then the one thing that we played the most, and I don't know if this considers as a video, I guess it technically is, but the one game I played the most out of anything, and it's not even on a console, it's a plug-and-play game. It's a baseball plug-and-play game.
What is plug and play?
So you know like the Pac-Man stick things that have just the 2 ports out, you plug into the TV, and it just has like 2 to 5 games on it?
Oh, right.
One of those. But this was a baseball version of that. So my basement it was wide open. It was big enough that there was enough room. There was one pole, though, like that held the house out.
Stripper pole?
Yeah, right next to the desk, actually.
Okay.
But there was this baseball game.
Strip and do taxes.
Yes.
Okay.
This baseball game had 2 things. One, it had a wireless baseball bat with, I assume, an infrared sensor. I'd never really looked. And it had a baseball that was hardwired, and you would run. That's what ran to the TV, and I'm assuming all the computer components were inside of that. So what you could do is based on how you spun the ball, it had an accelerometer, and it would do different pitches. So if I threw it like this, it was a fastball. If I spun my hand, it would do a curveball. And how hard you threw would affect how hard.
But you couldn't let go of the ball.
I mean,
obviously.
we have, but I don't recommend it.
To.
Yeah, it goes flying. And then what would happen is the guys. So what we would do is have the pitcher off to the side, so he's safe because you're actually swinging a bat in the basement, which is not safe.
Yeah.
So the pitcher would be off the side. We throw the ball.
Lots of opportunity for broken televisions in this game. I'm assuming.
Yeah. So I think it was a home run. I don't know if it's actual. I can't remember if it was a full baseball game or a home run.
If you guys know the name of this game, let us know.
I want to look it up.
Yeah.
But so the pitcher would throw, you'd swing the bat, but too many times because we'd have to stand close to the pole, and on the backswing you'd whack the pole, and you'd just go smack my parents and be like, Keegan! I'm like, sorry, don't beat my house down. But then we played, because again, sports. I had a lot of friends who played sports, and that to me was the coolest experience. That was like the Wii before the Wii with the motion thing.
Right.
And it was more realistic than sitting here doing this. Granted, I loved my Halos. I loved my racing games. Need for Speed Underground, the first one for Xbox. Probably one of my favorite games just because the sheer amount of time I put into it. I customized the crap out of my car. I loved running from the cops. It was the first game, because I was not allowed to play GTA. I was too young to play GTA. So it was the first game I could play
where you could be naughty,
that I could run from the cops, but I didn't kill any of them. That was my parents' issue with GTA, with which
you just killed several pedestrians in your path as you were to escape the cops.
Not in this one, because this one only had cars.
I'm just fucking
yeah.
with you.
But my parents' issue with GTA was 3 things: 1, shooting cops, understandably so; 2, running over pedestrians. And
did they know that
3,
you don't have to do any of those things?
They did, but they knew they knew
you would.
They know you would. I mean, let's be honest. I had to trick my mom to get me Vice City, and then she found out I was playing it, and she found out what it was, and I was like, oops.
I never had any of those problems.
So, Vice City story. Back when you had to go to Blockbuster to get a game.
I worked at Blockbuster.
Back when you had to go to
I
Blockbuster.
would have been the one that told you, where's your ID?
Yeah, they didn't. Where's your mom? Hey, Mom. So, back at Blockbuster when you had a game, I rented Vice City for the first time. The game didn't work. The disc did not work. So it would load. It played for maybe 12 minutes, 15 minutes, and then stop and just freeze. And then I had to restart, do it again, and I'd only get to the same spot every time. And then my mom came down to look. Because like, my game's not working. We go to Blockbuster and switch it out. She's like, oh, let me take a look. That's how she found out what the game was. Fuck. So I was not. I did not play that game until I got older.
I'll give you a tip of something that used to help with
Just
that.
the tip.
Just the tip, and that is that toothpaste on
I know.
discs.
Now I know.
Fixed your
I got a disc doctor back in the day.
Those are cool.
Yeah,
I like those.
You just put it in. It was really loud.
When I worked at Blockbusters, we had a cleaner, and people would just bring their fucking CDs in and just be like, "Can you clean these?" Like,
Yeah.
no, fucker. Like,
This is for
bring it
us.
around. This is like $100. Get out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So then from there I went to 360, which I fell in love with. That 360 was obviously online, but that was the first console I think that I had a bunch of friends that had. Because the Xbox, again, just the price point. A lot of people were Sony fans. James, Will, Steven, like a lot of my friends had PlayStations. I never had any desire because, one, again, I just think it was just, to me, in my mind, it was this weird Asian console versus Microsoft is the American console. You're laughing, but it's true.
Weird Asian.
Because, well, when you think of PlayStation, what do you think of? I think of Final Fantasy. I think of Tekken. I think of those type of games. So to me, that's like, I don't want to play those. Versus Xbox was shooting, racing, sports. Like, those 3 are okay.
So the Xbox to you was more like the all-American console.
Yeah.
Because you could play the all-American games.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what appealed to me.
A bit xenophobic.
No, I just didn't have any desire.
You were scared of Japanese games.
I wasn't scared. I just didn't have any. It didn't intrigue me like it did with the Xbox.
Okay.
I mean, that's what it came down to.
That's fair. No, that's a fair comment. That's actually an argument I've never heard, so I'm interested.
Yeah. It never really intrigued me like it did with the Xbox. So like I was.
It was fear of the unknown. But
kind of.
You knew that you trusted Microsoft as an American company.
No, not that.
No.
It's more I trusted Microsoft because they, from all the things I'd read, was they were the best place to. Again, sports was my big thing. They were the best place to play sports. Sony sports games were not very good, from what I've heard. They've gotten better over time. The show is now the best baseball game of all time, in my opinion. But NBA Live, I played all the time. Granted, that was on PlayStation. But
were they on both?
They were.
Wasn't almost every sports game on both
consoles?
So,
NFL Fever, 2003, 2002, was my jam.
Okay.
That was my jam.
What was that, a game where you play NFL with a cold?
Yes.
Okay.
Dude, NFL Blitz was my jam, too. That was fun. But,
right. And then from the 360, of course, you decided to abandon all of your principles and get a PS4.
So again, at that point though, it's social gaming. So the reason I was dead set on an Xbox One. So the Xbox One PS4 story for me is I was dead set getting an Xbox One going into E3. I was like, I'm gonna get this. People were like, you should get a PS4. I was like, why? I play Xbox. Like, I'm loyal to a brand until they fuck it up, and then I'm not as loyal, which is I think fair because I don't like blind loyalty. I think it's stupid personally, but. It's one of those things where you go in and I was like, okay, I'm leaning towards Xbox because that's what I'm used to. That's what I've played. And then they did the E3 presentation, which we can all agree was absolute garbage. And then Sony came out the next day and was like, hey, look what we did in response. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. The other thing, too, is now a lot of my friends had PlayStations versus before 360 was the big one. So a lot of my friends had 360, which is why I chose the Xbox 360 at the time, but I also at that point was an Xbox guy.
It's almost the opposite in terms of the feelings, because to me the Xbox was not only was it a weird console that kind of came out of nowhere and it hadn't earned its stripes as far as I was concerned, but also like there was an established record of Sony making games for gamers, of doing things that gamers wanted. And
but I wasn't a gamer though. That's the problem. Is I wasn't really a hardcore gamer.
But it seemed like, you know, every time you looked at Xbox, they were like trying to figure out how to make TV work with their console and how to make like all this other shit work.
Well,
and, you know.
So you have to remember that the Xbox, the first Xbox, the original Xbox with Xbox Live was the first one to do an over-the-air update.
Right.
And they kind of brought in that era. I mean, the Dreamcast was the first one to have the port, but they were the first one to kind of usher this in. And Xbox Live Arcade, I think, is one of the greatest things that's ever happened in the game industry.
It definitely
and I
helped.
think what made me like Xbox a lot more than PlayStation was the interface. I disagree with this generation. The interface on the Xbox One is garbage in my opinion. Even after the update where it's like tiles, I fucking hate the tiles. Give me that like the blades back in the day, or even with the later update where it just slide across, very similar to what Sony has now, but it just felt more alive. It didn't feel like felt like it kind of had a soul, even though the original Xbox was black with the green. But the 360, the interface, I absolutely loved, and I think they nailed that with the Xbox button going back and forth and stuff like that. I think that's I don't know if Sony always had a PS button.
Yeah, pretty much. I think so.
Because I love that quick menu.
I'm not positive on the first generation, but they definitely did on the other ones.
But you weren't online on the first generation.
That's true.
So the notifications of like people online, like friend invites, like to me that was what Xbox did really well, was the social aspect of it. It was in my opinion, it was way more of a social console because Sony tend to do a lot of really good single player games. They did have some online, but I've yet to see a first party game from Sony that is a really solid multiplayer game that I would play with a lot of people. If you think about it, they're all Gears of War is an Xbox exclusive.
I mean, there's some that I could rattle off. I think Mag was a really good one, but not a lot of people.
Never heard of it.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. There's like to grab your attention.
Mag was a really kind of interesting game because it was the first time they tried to make a game that had an unbelievable amount of people that could play at the same time. You're talking like, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was something ridiculous. Like you could have like 64 versus 64, or even bigger than that.
Which is
right?
what Battlefield, I think, does.
Yeah,
now.
because they like broke it into areas, so you would have like 256 people playing at the same time, and you like that was insane. And you're talking like vehicles and on-ground warfare and like capture points and things like that. Mag was a fantastic little game, and they kind of dropped it after a while. But I don't know if it was first party or if it was just like that they touted that.
That's what I'm saying.
They
like,
may have bought that.
I can name a
company.
bunch of first party games from Xbox.
Right.
Halo, Gears of War. I mean, again, Halo was kind of the big one. When Halo 1 was, in my opinion, Halo 1 was all right. It set the bones. It saved the Xbox. But Halo 2 is where I kind of got in because the multiplayer.
Was the one that took off.
And then Halo 3. And then I
think if Halo 2 bombed, it wouldn't have.
Yeah, I remember dual wielding. That was the coolest thing ever, was doing dual wield. Why didn't... Here's a question, developers, if you're listening, all you developers who listen to us. Why can't I do co-op online anymore? Why is that not a thing that happens? And why can't I do multiplayer online?
Do you remember doing co-op? Did you ever play Call of Duty 3? You could do that split screen online.
That's what I'm saying.
Amazing.
That's what I'm saying. I was going to say that with Halo. Halo did the same. Yeah. Why can't we do that where we bring a guest on and be able to have them join us? Why is that not a thing anymore? I get that.
And the weird part is now we have TVs, or it wouldn't make too much of a difference.
Yeah, I get that most people play just strictly online, but there's moments where you're like, I have a buddy over, we want to play this game, let's do it.
Yeah, good question.
So I don't get. I mean, I'm not a game developer. I don't know how hard that is, but Halo did back in the day.
Bad.
Somebody figured out Halo was able to do it.
Yeah,
and this was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's kind of, I rambled a lot in there, but that's my story of, so I went from NES, kind of Super NES with Grandma. N64 was the first one that gripped me. The Xbox is the first one that kind of made the modern Keegan when it comes to gaming, when it comes to sports racing, that kind of stuff. The modern Keegan. 360 I fell in love with because I was an Xbox guy. And then PS4 got me because of I was dead set going into Xbox One until Microsoft fucked up. It's kind of sad.
It wasn't just that Microsoft fucked up; it's that Microsoft fucked up and Sony did not.
No, that didn't matter to me. I mean, Microsoft could have fucked up a little bit, but it's how much they did and how much.
So it wasn't a case like so when you saw like
because remember
adverts?
Remember I hated Sony. You have to remember this. I did not like Sony.
I know, but one of my favorite things that they did was during the Xbox shenanigans when they had like the
game trading,
DRM and always on and everything, and they had that one PlayStation advert for game trading. And it was like, this is how you trade games.
So to me, that
here you go. Okay.
To me, that didn't make a difference because again, I don't. Two reasons. One, I don't know who that person. I didn't know who those people were because
doesn't really matter.
Because I'm not a Sony fanboy. And two, it just at that point my mind was already made up because of Microsoft fucking it up so bad. If Microsoft had come out, I don't know how they could. To be fair,
they did fix a lot of those.
Yeah, but
things.
So what? I think the final nail in the coffin for me with Xbox One, which is why I like having an Xbox One now. I don't play it nearly as much. It's sitting at home. We need to get games for it. Hopefully after holidays we'll have some.
I've not played it yet.
Yeah, I should bring it over. You should play. The nail in the coffin for me was during an interview with Don Matrick, where he was the head of Xbox back in the day. Okay. He was the guy who went to Zynga and then got fired because he's stupid.
Zynga.
But anyways, so Don Matrick came out and somebody asked him about the Always On and what if people don't have internet. Like a prime example is my cousin's in the Navy. When he's on a fucking nuclear sub, they don't have internet down there all the time. Like it's just the way it is. And his answer was, we have a console for them. It's called Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck it is. Like, no, it's not. Sorry. That's not true because that is 8 years old, hardware wise. If they'd come out and said, hey, we're going to upgrade the internals of the Xbox 360 to make it better and we'll release it at this price point, I wouldn't have had an issue with that.
My personal favorite was the Kinect thing where they were like, it has to have a Kinect. There's no way to undo this at all. It has to possibly separate it out.
But
and then 2 months later, we separate
I'm a fan of Kinect. Well, from their perspective,
I got nothing against the Kinect. I'm just saying, like the fact that they told people it was an integral part of the hardware.
From their perspective, though, to use a lot of the services, you had to. That's why they had to redo it. No,
they said it wouldn't work
because marketing speech. They want to sell it with the Kinect.
And then they realized that was a wanker move. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. That's why Don Matrick didn't last long. That's why I've had this conversation before, but that's why I like Phil Spencer. You can say what you want about Phil Spencer, but he has turned that ship around. Xbox has outsold PlayStation the last 3 months.
I don't believe that, but carry on.
Go look at sales. Xbox One has outsold PlayStation the last 3 months.
I'm pretty sure
No.
PlayStation in the last month took it back, but I might be wrong.
You'll trust me.
PSVR.
Go look up NPD.
Did you say
Xbox One is
I don't
out?
argue with you on this podcast.
Xbox One has outsold the PlayStation.
My favorite was that meme recently where they were like, Xbox is taking a lead on PlayStation, and it says Sony, hold my drink, and then it just shows Last of Us 2, and I'm like, yes, that's exactly how we deal with that.
Yeah, but you can't argue with it. Phil Spencer's turned that ship around. I mean, it's gotten a lot better.
We've
with
already
backwards
talked about
compatibility.
Phil Spencer and my personal opinions with him. I think he's a pandering cock, but at the same time, he's infinitely better than the last pandering
non-metric.
cock. So yeah.
But if we're talking to strictly sales of the systems,
Then he did a good job.
they've done a good job. They've got it back out. I don't think they're not going to win this generation. Period. Which I think right now what they're doing.
The point is that does anyone have to win? Like,
No.
you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, is that we're on we talked about console wars being
Yeah.
dumb already. It's like no one has to win this.
But somebody's going to win the number of sales usually.
Which
That's
is
just the way it
yeah,
is.
but just incidental. Like, no one gives a shit at this point. The only thing that matters is that we're getting the best gaming experiences possible, and I think right now the only person that's delivering that is Sony, and I think that's.
Wait for Scorpio. I'm excited to see. What Scorpio
I'm
is.
excited to see what Scorpio.
I think
does.
Microsoft's putting all their eggs because I think they kind of like we fucked up the one.
This is their
makeup, relaunch of everything.
But I do think that right now, this current moment, and of course, there's still potentially Oculus to come to the Xbox and everything, which will help.
Did you see they announced that? Oculus is on Xbox One, but it only streams it, so it's kind of like the cinema mode in PlayStation VR, where it's a TV screen.
Well, I thought it was kind of a part of their whole deal was that they were going to go with Oculus, but
I mean that for the Xbox, that doesn't mean Scorpio won't, because I think it's a power thing.
Right.
So right now, the Xbox One, you can stream it.
They can't have a breakout box.
No, this is why Xbox I think is dumb. When I read this article, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I might look into getting an Oculus. But what you have to do is you have to plug your Oculus into your PC. You have to stream from the Xbox One to the PC to play it to the Oculus on a flat screen in your headset.
Yeah, that's not cool.
So but again, I think it's a power thing.
Yeah.
Once Scorpio, if it is indeed, and I believe them at this point that it is going to be probably the most powerful system to ever come out. That won't be an issue.
Power doesn't mean shit without games. That's all I'm going to say.
Power does mean shit if you need to run VR.
This runs VR.
Not very well.
Fuck off. Anyway.
But no, software is king.
Yeah, software is always
anyways,
king.
your story. I just spent a half an hour, 40 minutes talking about my story. What's your story?
It is what it is. Hi.
I'm still an Xbox fanboy, if you can't tell.
I
have no
There's
allegiance.
some weird fire in your heart.
Well, I have no allegiance to any of the consoles, but again, I think it's partially because Microsoft is what I grew up on. So I'm like, they got my heartstrings.
I'm surprised that you're not more Nintendo based than Xbox based when it comes to your heartstrings.
Have you seen me talk about Nintendo?
Exactly.
Have you seen me get angry at Nintendo? They fucked up one too many times right now.
I think they'll bring it back. I think the Switch.
Ukulele's coming out on the Switch potentially.
Yeah, 15th of April.
We'll see. 11th.
11th.
Yeah. We'll wait to see what the Switch is. I mean, we know what it is, but wait to see kind of how it runs.
At least they showed the console in the advert for it this time. So yeah, I got high hopes. But
But anyways, your story.
Anyways, when I was a nipper, my first console, and I don't remember how old I was, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I definitely was very young, was the Commodore 64.
He was pre-Keegan.
It was pre-Keegan. It was a Commodore 64, and the Commodore 64 was like a weird PC hybrid
I don't even know
thing.
what this thing looks like. What does the
Because it
Commodore
had
64 look
a
like?
keyboard, and what you would do is you would have this like cassette player, essentially, and you would plug your cassette into the cassette player. Yeah.
It literally is just a keyboard.
Yep. And you would plug your cassette player into this cassette, and then you would let it load, and it would load for approximately 20 to 25 minutes. So
wait, this one has a floppy. Is that a newer version then?
it could have been, I don't know. Mine was cassette.
That one has cassette.
But literally, Keegan, you would put this disc in, and this cassette, and you would wait for 20 to 25 minutes for the game to load. I am familiar. Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing.
That's the right one.
So 64 because it had 64K of memory. Little fun fact.
Yeah, it was a monster.
It was a big.
And you would put this cassette in and wait, and it would give you these really cool Technicolor like lines on the screen while you were waiting. And eventually the game would load up and you would play it. And there were some classic games on that system, obviously. The one of my favorite game on that system, and I only remember it because of the connotation that it had. It was a game called Arnie. But I can't remember if it was Army or Arnie, and whether I just called it Arnie because I thought I was playing Arnold Schwarzenegger, even though I wasn't. It was basically like a top-down Rambo.
Don't Google Commodore 64 games. That's literally what wait for it.
Oh, yeah. That's. I don't remember playing any of those games.
You don't remember that game? Was that you?
That's
you.
Definitely,
Sorry.
that was me.
Sorry. I'm just fascinated because I had no idea what the Commodore 64 looked like. I knew it was kind of what it looked like, but I've never actually seen games on it.
First game I had for that was it was a bundle pack. It was
how did it connect to the was it its own screen?
I don't know.
Or did it connect to the TV?
No, I think it had a monitor for it.
It had its own
I had a monitor, yeah.
Because it looks just like a computer.
Yeah. It was basically a computer, but it
Which is funny
just had
because
like joysticks and stuff instead.
Because you don't PC game.
Yeah.
But you started on a PC.
I know. But it had I got the bundle pack that had Terminator 2 Judgment Day was the bundle pack that it had, and I couldn't get past the second level in that game, but I still loved it.
Welcome to the second
I know,
level.
sorry, right, bringing it all back. And I love that movie though, so like, you know, I didn't give a shit. I just really loved being able to play a game that was based on that movie. It was awesome. The second level, by the way, was a motorbike level, which is why it was so
I've never seen Terminator.
Yeah, there's
no
lots of
no
things you
desire
haven't
to.
experienced in life, Keegan.
Yeah, I have no desire to.
The Commodore 64 was the one, and most people chose between that or the Spectrum, which was around at the same time.
What's Spectrum? Who made that? Do you know?
I don't remember who made it, but
that one.
go on, Google search, learn yourself. Everyone at home watching this, Keegan is learning along with you.
Yeah.
We might even put some images on the screen if he can be bothered to do that. But yeah, the Spectrum, I think it was a ZX Spectrum. Again, these are things that I don't recall because I was like fucking 7. So, you know, it's...
ZX.
Yeah, ZX.
ZX Spectrum. I want to see.
That was the
my
main
God.
contender for the Commodore 64 crown.
It has a cooler faceplate. Why didn't you pick it? It has a fucking...
Because it didn't have Terminator 2. And I love Terminator 2.
I seriously have never heard
Terminator
of
2
this.
was like my favorite movie growing up, so that's why I chose that one.
It was manufactured in Scotland.
Yeah, it's all English. So I love the Commodore 64. I played it a lot, and that was my first foray into gaming. I would go to the local game store where you would buy cassettes for what is now a ridiculous sum of money, and at the time was, you know, still kind of a ridiculous
Isn't it weird
sum
when
of
you
money.
look at like right now we're going back and buying some of the old games we used to own, and you're just like, I paid $60 for this back in the day. Now it's $3.
Yeah.
Or you'll have the opposite effect where like
Where
I
it's
paid
like
$60. You're like,
yeah.
this is $300.
Yeah.
Fuck, should have kept it.
But yeah, so that was my first console, and I loved it, and it got me into the world of gaming. And then what happened after that was I wanted a real console because I thought that the Commodore 64, you know, it technically a console, but as you can see, also kind of just a PC that plays games.
Yeah.
So at the same time, I wanted a real console, and I was I did not grow up privileged in any size, shape, or form. So at the time, they had just released the Mega Drive, aka the Genesis, and I knew that my parents probably wouldn't be able to afford one, just because we weren't well off. But the Master System had been out for a little while, and I'd played the Master System at a friend's house. I'd played Alex Kidd and things like that.
Was Sega bigger in the UK than... I assume Sega was bigger in the UK than Nintendo was.
It was
wasn't
was the same as anywhere. It was a toss-up.
Okay.
Yeah. I preferred Sega because I'd never played Nintendo.
A lot of my friends had Nintendo.
My friends had Nintendo too. My best friend growing up had a Super Nintendo. One of my other friends had a NES. So I played that stuff. I played like Turtles and all that kind of
yours.
stuff.
Like my friend who had the PlayStation.
Yeah, it was more a case of like if you have friends growing up, right? And
if you have friends growing up,
which you know,
if you don't, I'm sorry.
Some people know, some people don't. But like when you have friends growing up, you almost want to get the other thing, or so you can experience.
So this is
both.
back in the day when you actually go to somebody's house to play video games.
But now you can play things together. You want to have the same things so you can play together. But when everything was single player, you almost wanted to get the opposite thing so you could both experience both.
And now
consoles.
it's kind of going full circle where games we want cross-platform.
Right.
So you can play together.
So, you know, if my buddy had an NES, I would go for a Master System because then we could both experience both consoles. Because, you know, I mean, when you're a fucking kid, you don't have anything else to do. You're just sitting around playing video games all day.
Video games and sports.
Yeah. So, which was true for me even. So anyway, I had a buddy with an NES. My other buddy had a Super NES later. So I played all that shit growing up. But my personal preference was Sega because I liked something about their marketing or whatever it was.
Because it did what
I gotta pop my collar.
Did what Nintendo don't.
And it did what Nintendo don't. And
what's the name of the channel? Somebody just released a video of the Sega Genesis Mega Drive launch. We're subscribed to him on YouTube. I can't remember what his name was because he releases a video pretty much every 2 months, and it's really well done. You should watch it because it starts off with a Sega commercial from back in the day. And it's like, oh my god, because I never saw those. The commercials I remember watching.
I don't remember seeing any on telly.
I remember the Sony ones with the Crash
seeing
Crash
them in
Bandicoot
magazines, but I never saw any on telly.
Yeah.
And I think it was a way because there's a law in England which means you cannot slander the competition in an advert, which is
so that's why Crash Bandicoot's commercials never made it over there.
Doesn't exist in this country. You can slander anyone, but like you couldn't. Like over here, you have adverts where like Jack in the Box guy is going up to Burger King like, oh, you don't serve breakfast,
or the Pepsi Challenge.
Yeah,
back in
all
the
that
day.
shit. Well, Pepsi Challenge is a bit different because that's not slander necessarily. But if you are basically actively saying the opposition is a piece of shit, then it wasn't allowed on English television.
Yeah.
Which I still think is the rule that should exist because it's stupid that you're allowed to just slag off the competition. When I see like all these Samsung adverts attacking Apple and things like that, I'm just like, come on, guys, like focus on your own shit. Like it's frustrating.
Pulled it up. Classic Gaming Quarterly. Highly recommend you check them out. Like I said, this guy does a video every like 2 months. This is a remake of one he did before, but he's got a really cool voice. That's literally why I started watching. Because back in the day, I was watching.
Than my voice. I might get jealous.
We're gonna play real.
After that short intermission, I'd like to welcome you back to the Level 2 Podcast, Episode 8.
I done fucked up. I learned not to play a YouTube video on the computer we're recording with.
So, fucking shambles. So Keegan pressed something, which then stopped something, and then he couldn't find the audio because the mute button was turned on, and for some reason, with all of his 10 plus years of audio expertise, he didn't see the mute switch. So I fixed it. You're welcome. We're back. Master System was the console that was what I asked for. And so I was super pumped on it. And then my mom and dad, I gotta throw dad in there. I woke up on Christmas morning and I went downstairs.
You mean your birthday?
My birthday. And I was expecting a Master System because I asked for one. And when I opened the package, it said Mega Drive. And I lost my fucking mind.
Did they use the same font over there as they did over here?
Yeah.
Okay. It just said Mega Drive.
The weird,
instead.
like, silvery, like, metallic thing. Yeah.
It's weird. I wonder why they changed the name.
Not
that it matters. I just wonder what the thought process was.
It's a good question. We should find the answer to that.
Because you have the NES as the Famicom over in Japan.
Yeah.
Which is Family Computer.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not sure why they did that, but I assumed marketing. Yeah, whatever.
Could be.
Maybe
to separate the PAL from the NTSC
Genesis
versions.
Is like biblical. Maybe they were moving it away from that. I don't know.
The Bible. Well, Genesis.
Mega Drive.
Genesis just means beginning, which technically it wasn't the beginning because is the beginning of was 16-bit, right? That was 16.
It was. I don't know if it was the first. I don't know which came first, the Genesis or the Super Nintendo, but it's,
Chicken came first.
But it was one of the first 16-bit computers, which is double the amount of the previous generation. And so I opened this Mega Drive, and I was obviously blown away.
Were you like those kids in the video, like, oh my god?
Pretty sure I cried because I wasn't expecting it, which was still, to this day, I would say probably the best Christmas present that I ever got because I wasn't expecting it.
That's how it was with my Xbox. Other than I think I knew I was getting my Xbox.
And it came with a triple pack of games. It came with, it was the first Sonic, Columns, and Italia 94, which we've already mentioned before. But all great games, and I had just the best time.
I think it's interesting because a lot of people think that the Genesis Mega Drive launched with Sonic. Sonic actually came a few years afterwards. Because they were trying to find different mascots. They had that Star dude for a little while. They had some other people.
Shit. Yeah, what was his name?
I don't remember.
God, I remember him as well. Yeah. Little star guy.
Yeah, they tried to make that a thing. It didn't. But then when Sonic came, my opinion, kind of like Halo, is what solidified.
I don't get the mascot thing. I don't get it. Like,
it's a face to a corporation. That's essentially what it is. So, like, think about any company. Any company right now, like, I'm sure, like, Yoshida is the face of Sony. When you see Yoshida, you think Sony. You think of a certain type of personality. When you think of Mario, you think of Nintendo. Mario's fun-loving, this very happy-go-lucky guy. When you think of Genesis, the thing they were selling is this is faster. So what's better than a fast? Which hedgehogs are slow, but what's better than a fast hedgehog?
The irony, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's that blue paint he was huffing. Anyway, so the Mega Drive was my first foray into, I guess, proper consoles would be the correct term.
That had buttons and not just sticks.
Yeah, that had little controllers, which took me a while to figure out and everything. I mean, like I said, I used
you had the 3-button, right? At launch?
I did at the beginning, and then when I got Street Fighter 2,
you had the 6-button.
I got the 6-button for that because
That's a lot of buttons.
It was better.
Which now I guess we have that many buttons.
Yeah, there's all kinds of buttons everywhere. But yeah, that was the one that I actually would like buy my own games for. And true story, I sold my bike to buy Streets of Rage 2 because I love Streets of Rage.
Another true
so
story.
much.
We recorded Streets of Rage 2 and never put it up.
We could record Streets of Rage 1.
Did we?
We didn't do 2. 2 is better, I think. But I loved the first Streets of Rage so much that I sold my bike to get Streets of Rage 2, which is how into it I was, and it kind of just shows my, I
was gonna make a fat
dedication.
Joke. I was gonna make a fat joke there. Like that was the end of it.
That was when I got fat.
And the skinny Tom on the bike one way.
That might well have been.
That's what I knew.
So yeah, I had that, and then after that, I had a.
What'd you have?
Sega Saturn.
See, I never played the Saturn. Well, we have one, right? Yeah, we have one now.
We have one now.
I've never played it.
Yeah, it was interesting because I wanted to.
Because it was not big in the US. It flopped.
I, like you, was not a fan of PlayStation at the time. And as we've previously mentioned, my buddy had a PlayStation, therefore made more sense for me to get the other one. We planned this shit out as children. We were very smart.
Business.
And so I got the Saturn, mostly because it was Sega, and I was
you
a
got the
big
short
Sega
end of
fan.
that deal.
I definitely got the short end of that deal. But I got to play for the first time on my buddy's PlayStation Resident Evil. I was too scared to play it, but I was his co-companion. So
How old were you when the first PlayStation came out?
I don't know. Very young.
What year did the first PlayStation
Somewhere between 12 and 14.
Okay, so you were a teenager.
Yeah,
versus like
early teenager.
When the first PlayStation came out, I want to say I was like 5.
Yeah, I was early teenager.
Yeah.
So when we played Resident Evil, I was too scared to actually physically play it, but my buddy would play it, and I would sort of talk him.
It's like
through
me.
it.
It's like me with Resident Evil 7.
Kind of, except you wouldn't even watch it.
Yeah.
But no, I was his guide, so I was like helping him, do stuff, and then we would do the same thing for like Final Fantasy VII and that kind of stuff. Like he would play it, I would just kind of say, "Oh, you need to go here," and like I had like magazines.
This is
before the internet. This is before the internet. And,
did you subscribe to any game magazines?
I didn't subscribe. I just bought them. I had CVG, which was Computer and Video Games, which was I believe an English magazine.
Yeah,
and just Games Master. There was a show back home called Games Master, which I did recently find some old episodes of that. It was hosted by a guy called Dominic Diamond, and what it was an attempt to shoot video games into the mainstream a little bit more. So what they would do is they'd have competitions on the show. So similar to what you see now with like speed runs and things like that, they would say, we're going to challenge these two people to play the first level of Mario, and you have to collect as many coins as you can and finish it in the fastest time. So they'd have 2 randos.
That's like the Nintendo We need to get the Nintendo Championship card because I think it'd be a lot of fun. That's
that thing is like impossible to find, right?
I didn't say we had to get the original one. I'd go for a reproduction.
We could get a replica.
That's what I'm saying.
Hair in my mouth. But yeah, so yeah, it was literally like the Whiz, and not the Whiz. That's not the right one.
That's
the Wizard,
or that's.
It was like the Wizard. What was that? Fred Savage in the Wizard.
I was 2.
Yeah, it was a great movie. Anyway, so it was like that, but they would have celebrities come and play. So you could they would get like sports people to come in and play themselves in video games against randos from the public.
Now is a thing that happens all the time.
Right. And they had this guy called the Games Master, who was actually a astronomer called Sir Patrick Moore. And he would they'd CGI his face to make him look like this giant robot thing. And I know this sounds weird. And he would give you tips. So like people would come in and go, "Dear Games Master, I'm stuck on the second level of Castlevania, Simon's Quest. Can you tell me how to get further? And he would just like be like, oh yes, certainly you need to go to this area and crouch down. And
it's like the Nintendo hotline, but in a TV.
It's incredible.
form.
Yeah, it's incredible. So it was a mixture of all these kind of competitions.
We should do
tips
something like that, but we're not good enough to do something like that.
It was it was a product of its time. Let's say that. And
that's what wikis are for now.
Great show though, but they had a magazine, and I used to buy that. So then Sega Saturn was one that I had. I had the N64. I did get that as well. The N64 mostly just for Mario 64.
And so what was your Mario 64? How weird was that for you? Because again, I didn't have the 2D to 3D issue because I was young enough that didn't affect me.
It was interesting.
Were you
I didn't
like
have a hard time
mind-blown,
adapting.
or were you just like
mind blown for
Okay.
sure? Mind blown for sure. Didn't have a hard time adapting because I've been playing since the Commodore 64.
That joystick made that console.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a case of like I'd obviously played, like I said, my friends. We used to play Super Mario 3 all the time and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was familiar, but it was the first Nintendo console that I bought was the 64, and primarily off the back of other people's experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So my friends, almost all my friends, actually bought that one because it was the one.
Well,
that
was
like,
I mean, in my opinion, that was the big one of that generation.
it was one of the best consoles ever made,
Yes.
and I think that
Which just sucks. Not sucks, but it's weird because the cartridge thing. Like, imagine if they didn't do cartridges.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to think about, but at the same time, like, it was one of those ones where there was a little bit of something for everyone on that console.
4 ports.
Yeah.
I think, to me, that's what sold it, was the 4 controllers.
Absolutely. And then you would take your controller around your buddy's house and you would all play GoldenEye with the cardboard on the
Or
TV.
Or you play Mario Party and you would have giant blisters on your hand from doing the little
yeah.
spin.
I mean, it was just the ultimate, like, social console, but also had solid single-player experiences, one of which is Mystical Ninja. Which
I think it's the last console that that Nintendo had, like, the hardcore audience.
Yeah.
GameCube a little bit, but I think...
People love the GameCube for the games that it had on there, but it
Yes.
was severely under...
Yes.
Like,
So I think N64 was like the last one.
The truly last great console Nintendo put out. The Wii has its own merits, but for gamers, not so much.
Yeah, from a gamer's
casual gamers, totally was amazing. But for me and you, not so much.
Yes. I mean, I like wiggling the Wii around.
I had one, but it wasn't.
We have one. We have
we might
Thrill.
have one.
We
I
have
don't have
Thrillville.
You have one.
We have one here, don't
It's
we?
not in the house. No, you still have it. I think.
Oh.
You have the games here, just don't have the console. Anyway,
I don't know if I have the
we
console.
digress. So I played the N64, loved that. Eventually, one of my ex-girlfriends around
Was it
Christmas
Sally Sue?
time, no,
Okay.
she bought me a PS2, which was kind of heavy. It was just a little like, whoa, like I don't think I got you anything close to
Shit just got
that
serious.
big, but thank you. So yeah, she bought me a PS2, and the PS2 has since become my favorite console, mostly because of the library, the incredible
Can you
library.
answer this question?
Sure.
Turning that shit on. There's a switch on the back. There's a switch on the front. What's the difference?
Switch on the back is like a actual power on off switch. Switch on the front is like a standby switch.
Did anybody ever flip the switch in the back? Do you just turn it on and leave it on?
I would only flick the switch on the back if I was like going on holiday or something like that.
Because I had a friend who had a PS2, and it was like it was actually his brother's, which was kind of his taboo to play it. But he would go in there and he would play. What was he playing? He would play some game, and I'd see the switch on the back, and I tried to put a disc in that thing, and I couldn't figure out how to fucking work it. I was like, "What the hell am I doing wrong?" He's like, "Yeah, there's a thing on the back." I was like, "Oh."
Well, I remember even the smallest detail with the PS2 that really impressed me was the fact you could twist the PlayStation logo. So if you wanted to put it like a tower instead of lay down, then it would like look good. That kind of attention to detail is what really made me start to appreciate Sony.
And that's
more.
when people
library.
That's when people just started spinning it, and it fell off.
Yeah, the library for that console was incredible, and that's really.
I think it's the biggest of all time.
It is, and it's also. I mean, I had a love affair with video game consoles before.
My pop filter's going awry.
PS2.
So if you hear some knocking, that's me trying to make sure this doesn't fall in my lap.
Shamble recording.
We're a professional here. We don't do it. Stay. Okay.
This is the only thing we have to do today, so we're just kind of taking our time with it.
Yes.
But the PS2 really was an incredible piece of kit, which of course led me to want to get to PS3, as opposed to Microsoft and all that jazz. The Xbox, I saw it came out, I was like, I don't really like Microsoft. Nothing on that console looks good to me. And then I knew that I'd had this incredible experience. with the PS2. I'm choosing to ignore your comments. And the PS3, you know, it was just like.
What do you think of the PS3 price then? As somebody who likes Sony, what was your
outrageous? But at the same time, I paid it twice, might I add, because I paid it once in England and then I sold that. Did you have
the first generation, the backwards compatible one?
I did.
That thing was like
I
this
had
fat.
to sell it because I moved countries.
That's so dumb. I kind of understand why it has to happen, but
yeah.
It's dumb.
But I mean, again, I was really impressed with it. I had a great time with the PS. I remember
Sony should have a trade-in program. All consoles should have a trade-in program. If you moved it from a PAL to an NTSC. NSTC.
Yeah, there's not enough people, I don't think, for that to be a thing. But I remember my mom bought it and she would let me play it before Christmas, like only once or twice to test it. So when she went to sleep, she's passed away now, so I can say this. When she went to sleep, I would sneak downstairs and open it and bring it upstairs and set it up and play Resistance online, because I'd never played an online game before, to the extent that I did with Resistance. I played like Doom and stuff, and LAN matches, but yeah, I'd never really played an online FPS quite like that. So I did that, which was sneaky, but I still loved it all the more. And yeah, so PS3 obviously led me to want to get the PS4.
And the decision was really easy when Microsoft
they made it super easy. Yeah. I am a massive PlayStation fanboy, but also I enjoy the, as you put it, Asian games that come out on the console. I've always loved the minds of some of those creators, and Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, all that kind of stuff is my shit. Metal Gear, all that stuff. So narrative-driven story experiences, and then when you look at people like Naughty Dog, who've only really recently come to fruition as far as like a powerhouse of a developer.
Naughty Dog is Crash.
Right.
That's all they needed to do.
Yeah.
They should have stuck with Crash.
Fuck
all the rest of the games sucked.
They
should have stuck with Crash
right now. But Naughty Dog, again, another prime example of a company that just make Sony, for me, the best place to.
You heard it here first. Last of Us 2 is going to have a 3 out of 5 rating.
Bullshit. It will be a monster game.
Yeah. No, all joking aside,
in 2020 when it comes out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
on the PS5.
Yeah, on the PS7. But yeah, so right now I have a PS Pro because I did trade in my
PS4 Pro.
PS4 for the PS4 Pro. I did that early because my thought process behind it was that I'm going to get the most amount of money for my PS4 now, as opposed to trying to do this a little later down the line. So I jumped on it because I know that, you know, anything Sony. I'm the guy that bought a PSP Go. Okay,
so you're the
I'm the one guy.
I think it's funny because like you're a hardcore fanboy and you're not apologetic about it and you're open about it.
But I'm not.
But then when I talk about Microsoft, you're like, what the fuck, man?
I'm not unfair to other companies though. Like I don't slag off Microsoft, Xbox, or anything. I had an Xbox 360 as well. At one point I had a Wii, a 360, and a PS3.
You had a Wii. That is the dumbest name.
God damn it. But I had all three at the time because the price had dropped on the Wii and the Xbox 360, and I thought, why not? Because I wanted to play the exclusives that I was denied from Microsoft. So I got a Xbox 360 on the cheap, and I picked up the Fables, the Halos. I played through all that shit, and I liked it. I loved it. Alan Wake has become one of my favorite
video games are video games at the end of the day.
Right. And I think that anyone who's a gamer can agree that you're, you know, as long as you're getting your money's worth and you're enjoying yourself and you're experiencing those experiences that can only be had on these game machines, that it doesn't matter how you got here.
I think everybody's allowed to have, my opinion on something like that is everybody's allowed to have their preferred console. But I don't like hardcore fanboys that bash and throw hate at other consoles.
I'm not an anti other console fanboy. If you gave me an Xbox One tomorrow, I would happily play it and buy all the exclusives and everything for it. But I just prefer PlayStation because of my history with that company.
That's how I am with Xbox. That's why it was.
And I hate when they fuck up because they do.
Yeah, well, we'll see when Microsoft fucked up. I was like, you fucked up too big.
PlayStation TV twice now, and I regretted it both times. Don't ask me why I bought it twice. I bought the PSP Go, which was dropped like a fucking hot shell as soon as they came out like every single game in the PSP library is going to be digital, and then they just didn't do any of them. And I'm like, great, now I have a brick. I actually jailbroke that so I could play emulators, so it worked out. But it was but I bought the moves when they first came out. Like, I'm just a sucker for that company. And even though they've let me down a bunch of times, the most recent thing they did was PSVR, which is the best experience that I've had in gaming in a long time. So I'm okay with that.
It makes me sad, though, with PSVR, because the reports are they cut their sales numbers down a little bit, which has me a little bit concerned. Like, projection.
It's bullshit. I promise you that's bullshit, because people can't buy them. There's so many people that want to buy them right now, but because they weren't anticipating the amount of people that wanted these for Christmas, they sold out everywhere. You can't buy them. I bet you as soon as those fuckers come in stock, that price number is going to jump through the roof. Because there's so many people that will not buy it until they experience it, because you don't get it until you experience it. We've had people come over here multiple times or even to your house or whatever, who experienced it for the first time and just like, holy shit, like I need that. I've had a bunch of my friends do that. And it's one of those situations where you don't realize what you're missing until you try it. And so I really don't know, honestly, why they don't have more demos in stores. Like, why they don't have...
Well, they didn't have any marketing push for it, period.
Exactly.
That's what
blows my mind,
because
else. There's such an awesome sub niche there. Even if you go to, like, for those of you that use Reddit, if you go to the r/PSVR, that subreddit is one of the nicest subreddits on the entirety of the...
So I don't Reddit at all, because I don't like Reddit. They scare me. But that one I've started hanging out in. Even if I've been there as a lurker, but I've also been posting a few things, and it's like, even if like we had a video where we did the developer spotlight, like, what do you guys think? People said, hey, wish it was longer, wish it had this. I'm like, cool, thanks.
It's constructive criticism.
Yeah, versus like, this is shit.
Yeah.
Because Reddit is a very dangerous place sometimes.
It can be scary if you let it get to you, but at the same time, like, that particular subreddit, right, as of before...
It's all wolves within right now.
As of before Christmas, because I'm sure that there's going to be a ton of kids that join that subreddit after Christmas. As of right now, the early adopters and the people that picked it up...
so people that wanted the system
are really, really pushing for a friendly and well-versed community there. And some people are saying Werewolves Within and Sports Bar VR and all those kind of stuff are some of the best social experiences they've ever had at all. And then there's people like me that have just been gaming as long as the Commodore 64, that to them, this is just a new era of gaming. Hideo Kojima came out earlier today or yesterday and said that PSVR is the future, and he is totally digging it, which makes me really excited, because
that scares me.
That
scares me, because what he would do.
VR, because I mean, he already fucks with you on regular games. So in VR, I can picture that being an absolute terror fest. But so that's my journey. I went from Commodore 64 to a Mega Drive unexpectedly, to the Sega Saturn, to the N64, to the PS2, to the PS3, to the PS4.
So what I'm learning is early on in your gaming career, you didn't have any ties to any sort of system.
No.
And then
Sega. A little bit.
Why didn't you get the Dreamcast?
Good question. Don't know. Just didn't really like the look of it.
Because it looks like Xbox?
My buddy had one, as you know, and my buddy had one, and there was no game on the Dreamcast that I was like, yeah, I really want one of those.
Sports. You know? I think the Dreamcast, to me, if I had known what it was, I probably would have bought one, because it's what the Xbox became.
Right.
And sports.
I was known for the sports. I think I was already off Sega and on to PlayStation at that point, or on to Nintendo at least. And I said, like I said, I had a buddy that had one, and there was nothing about it that made me go like, I have.
But you had those cool little VMI cartridges, or whether the hell they were.
Yeah, I have one now, and I haven't played it since we played Sega Bass Fishing,
which we know how well that went,
because it's really hard to get games for that thing.
Well, my favorite thing about that console is the cable coming out the bottom.
Yeah.
Why the hell would you have the cable coming out?
I don't know.
It's because they had the stupid things on top.
You live, you learn.
But
yeah,
anyways, that's your story.
My story.
Your story is a little bit more brief than my story, because
I tried to
ramble.
Make it brief. What are we on time-wise? Well, I don't even fucking know anymore, because this is the second half.
Yeah.
But the...
I was talking about, we didn't screw up earlier. And I didn't. No, we're about an hour and a half.
As far as us, I think most people already know this by now. But basically, me and Keegan work together.
We sit in a basement, record this shit.
Yeah, we're quite friendly with each other. We get on very well. And Keegan wanted to do something in the realms of YouTube involving video games. He wanted someone that had a directly opposing personality to him that he got on with, that also happened to have good knowledge of the history of video games. And the rest is history.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, because I feel like we do this at the end of every episode, but we are literally just two guys in a basement doing this. This is literally Tom's basement. I
my
know
basement.
we rearranged things. It might throw you off because this is not the same background you see in our videos. That's actually over there.
Yeah.
Which we can change because that's green over there.
Yeah. This has been really pretty much taken over by us. My wife.
I mean, your wife
maybe
made
not super happy about it. But
your wife made the thing on the wall.
Yeah, we have
like
a decal that my wife made for us, which we don't use anymore because we have the green screen.
The original logo.
But there's a lot of stuff you don't see.
Yes.
That goes into making these videos. And I think the interesting part about it is now we've been through many iterations of the show. We had our earlier episodes, I was just trying to figure out what the hell we were doing. I think Stranded Deep and that kind of stuff. That was fun. Stranded Deep was a lot of fun. We did parts, didn't we? And we weren't really sure where we were going with it. And we never finished a part. We never finished one. And then we started trying to be a little bit more kind of clever with it. And then Jordan came on board and he was like, okay, well, so how about we do it a bit more like Giant Bomb or whatever, where we have like little subsections. And so we started narrowing our focus, which helped a lot. And I think we still have a narrowed focus per day. We do, which is the idea is we want to be able to bring multiple types of content, not ignoring games. Yeah. Because we're a gaming channel. Yes, and but we're also humans that do other things. But we are, yeah. And the thing is, and I think this is something that we can agree on as a whole. I disagree. Is that if you go to watch Jacksepticeye play Last Guardian, then you're not necessarily going there because you want to see Last Guardian. If you wanted to see Last Guardian, you would go to the trailer or you would buy it. You're going there, or I'd go see a gameplay footage with no commentary. Right. You're going there because you want to see Jacksepticeye play Last Guardian. So one of the things about YouTube, which we came to discover, is that personality is really the reason why people come back to you. And which, thank you if you are listening and or watching and you're returning. If you're new, welcome. Hi. How are you? If you want to hear more, subscribe. How's your mother? She's dead. But, okay. But that's basically kind of our philosophy, is that you hopefully don't just come here to see the games that we're playing, although we do try to keep those interesting. This is why we focus on a kind of a niche area of games that are usually between $10 to $30, and then we'll throw in a trip. Like we were supposed to record Final Fantasy today, Jordan 6, so it'll be probably the Final Fantasy. Like that's more so just because we followed the entire development of that game, and we both know that it's one of my personal favorites. And so whenever there's something that's just kind of like we have to play, like if a new Mario comes out, I'm sure we're going to play it. But Nintendo, if and when Nintendo. Or maybe Zelda or something. Problem. But for the most part, we try and stay clear of AAAs because, let's be honest, PewDiePie and Jacksepticeye and Markiplier and GameSpot, all those guys have already done it to death. So we will find the stupidest looking game on the PSN store and play it instead. Or the free-to-play ones and things like that people, especially younger people maybe that don't have disposable incomes, can try and make that decision as to whether it's worth picking up or not. So we combine that with the VR stuff, the rando Friday stuff, which is more personality based than anything, and then hopefully this podcast, which is my favorite part. I was gonna say I love the podcast and I love the VR days. I like the VR days because of the production quality. Like I'm an editor first, so I've said this before, but one of the reasons I wanted to start level 2 was I used to work in music, and that's at some point I'm going to tell that story. I keep saying I still want to hear that fucking story. I used to work in music. Don't do it anymore, but I was editing. Well, I do it not as much, but I was editing on a pretty consistent basis. And there for a while, it's like I'm not doing any sort of editing. I'm not getting better at the skill I have, or I'm not using the skill I have. So that's why that's why I started level 2. And I was like, video games are easy to edit. And then from there, I was like, okay, let me look, because this is right as I found Markiplier, found Jacksepticeye, seeing these guys do. And that's why I kind of want to start out as Let's Plays initially. But I think, as you're saying, we kind of found our voice as what we are. We're not. It's weird because we're not a Let's Play. We're not a news site. We're kind of somewhere in between. Yeah. Where we're like, hey, this is something we find cool, or a game that you might be interested in. But then the podcast here, we can talk about everything. We fucking talked anything from World War II to gaming today. Like today has been a weird one. It's been a weird one. But it's that podcast is something. Podcasts are a good way to get across our actual personalities, but also to discuss, anything. The reviews, I'm trying to hone them more down to kind of the same version of a $10 to $30 video game in movie form. So I did a video game. You did? And we're going to chop them
last
up a
week.
bit. We're going to do like albums and stuff eventually. But right now, the easiest thing for me to do is kind of more indie movies because I watch a lot of those. And those are the types of things that do not try and sue us when we put it up, mostly because they're grateful for the coverage. Yeah. But then we also have, those $10 to $30 bites and the VR stuff and all the rest of it. So hopefully it's a nice balance. And the good thing about it is we are doing it 5 days a week at this point with streams. So you have the ability to come in every day, see something different to what it was yesterday. It's always going to be consistent. You're always going to know what day is what thing. And we really, really appreciate every single one of you that does come back and check this stuff out.
Yes, so. It's mind-boggling. I mean, the fact that we're over 700.
We're 761 right now.
It's part of the Legion. We're over 700.
Yeah.
761. And that's crazy. I mean, we're coming up February with 2 years. Mm-hmm. I think, and I can honestly say, I mean, we have goals. We've said it before. It would have been nice to hit 1,000.
It's weird how the algorithm has fucked with us a little bit in terms of gaining new subscribers and stuff, but that's happening to everyone, so I'm not mad about it. I will say that we are very adaptive to the situation, and I think that one thing we have proven is that we're not in this for money to begin with. We're in this for the fun and also to have a legacy of some sort. I think it's nice that we can come up with this daily video content that if you are a fan of us as human beings, you get to watch and listen and observe and learn and hopefully take something away from it that either makes you want to buy something, not want to buy something, or at very least gives you a giggle.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, we had Walker on, and when he gave visuals, if you haven't listened to the end of that, listen to his spiel at the end because it was touching. Because very rarely do we get to hear people talk about us like that.
Feedback.
It's very well. It's very much because we put it out, and I understand people consume content. It's not that it's a lot of effort to write a comment, but you usually move on to the next thing because you're like, okay, next, I'm done. What's coming up next? And if you listen to it, you can't obviously necessarily comment right then or there. You can do a review or hit us on Twitter. But it's cool to hear him talk about because he hit on everything we do. We're passionate about this. We want to do this. We try to be as professional as we can with what we've got, and we work with what we've got, and it's quite fun. I'd say this last however many months it's been, over almost 2 years, has been a lot of fun. Very stressful at times, but a lot of fun.
Yeah. So. And I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, I've always got a part of me that wants to do a project, and I've done many. I've been in a band, I've been a rapper, I've been all kinds of crazy shit, which no small fat English kid from England should ever be. But at this point, video games has always been something I've been interested in. It's always been something I wanted to be a part of. Journalism has always been something I've been interested in. And even though I wouldn't call us journalists by any stretch of the imagination, I think
we're opinion givers.
We get to practice similar tendencies to journalists. And go to conventions and things like that. And even if no one ever knows who we are, as long as we're putting out stuff which we enjoy, which I watch our videos. I enjoy watching our videos.
I watch them when I edit. Then after that, I'm done. Right. I watch them once.
I just kind of I'll watch them through and make sure I didn't fuck anything up. But at the same time,
But I do listen to podcasts.
Yeah. It's fun. And we hope that you enjoy it. And we know that some of you guys like it more than others. We know we have our big fans.
Yes.
Shout out to Blue Moon Gaming. Shout out to T Grotto, the sponsor of this episode.
To Eweezy.
It's a Mr. Eweezy. People that donate to our Patreon. Eweezy helped make our animation and is still making some.
Last Good Milk Pig Josh.
Yeah, Last Good Milk Pig always shows up for streams.
Anna.
Allie.
I mean,
we know you guys.
Yes.
And we love you guys. And you guys are really the only thing that keeps us going, I think. I mean, we'd probably do it with no one watching. Let's be honest. But at the same time,
it's nice.
It's nice to know that there's always going to be at least 5 people that are going to enjoy it. So there's that. Cool.
How you gonna
Guess we should wrap
up. How you gonna do that transition there, Tom?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It's been a clusterfuck of a podcast, but at the same time, it's been fun.
By far our longest podcast.
Yeah, I have no idea how long we've been going.
About an hour and a half, almost.
That's fine. That's podcast length. So yes, that is what we've been doing. It is how we came to get into video games. It is how we came to be level 2. It is lots of random Hitler references throughout the entire thing. Sorry about that. And
please don't judge me.
A genuine, heartfelt thank you to everyone that ever supports us or is supporting us, because it is the season, right?
Yes.
For that.
One of the things I said last night, I had somebody come to me last night and just kind of like, look, I'm working with a group of people. This is not easy. It's hard. And as you know, I mean, I have breakdowns. You have breakdowns. We have shit that goes wrong. Like getting that video blocked that was supposed to go up as of recording this up today sucked, because we had to scramble and get a video up because we didn't have something ready to go.
It's not that particular video took 3 hours of my day off to edit. So when you sit there and edit something for 3 hours, upload it, and then get insta blocked of something which I don't even know if they have the right to block it or not. I don't know if it falls under fair use, and I'm honestly at this point I'm not going to argue with it. It's definitely not worth fighting. But yeah, there is time, testing times.
But at the same time, I feel like we both have the understanding that we can trust the other one to do what they say they're going to do and get through it. And if you're a small YouTuber, or you're trying to look to do a collab channel, or you're looking to collaborate with anybody in general, like Tom said, when I went and approached him for 2 reasons. One, because I knew he would, first and foremost, we would respect each other. I mean, that's what it comes down to. If we had the same personality, fine, we could be fucking crazy bananas people. We could be super like chill, calm people.
There's too many crazy bananas people on YouTube.
That's true.
It's nice to have a balance.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you have to respect the person, and you have to understand kind of where they're coming from. And the second thing is, for us in particular, we can have those real conversations where I'm like, hey, I don't think this is good, or I would change this, and vice versa. He's had those with me, and again, it's all that comes down to respect, but we listen to each other.
It's respect, honesty, and integrity.
Yes.
And
so if you're a small YouTuber, those are probably the 3 big things you have to have.
If you're doing it by yourself, it's a lot harder, because there's no one there to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, maybe you should tweak this, or hey, that's sucky.
We might do a whole episode on that.
Let us know. Being a duo?
No, being just YouTube in general. Yeah. Kind of like being a creator and how much it...
I feel like you know way more about that than me, but I can sit here and smile and say the occasional word in English.
Yeah. We might do that. But anyways, this podcast a little bit
brought
long.
to you by Tigrato Power. Go check him out on YouTube. Just type in Tigrato. That's...
Oh, here's the Tigrato.
Not that is what it was. Tigrato Power.
You forgot.
I feel like Turtle Power. Turtle Power. That was the first vinyl I got. Fun story. But Tigrato, go check out that dude. He is mostly does racing stuff.
He does streams now. Well, he's been playing a lot of Don't Starve recently.
Yeah.
So he's been playing a lot of Don't Starve.
Genuinely,
he streams pretty much every day. Overwatch, Don't Starve, Titanfall 2. He plays a lot of Dirt.
Genuinely awesome guy though. We both love him to death.
Canadian.
He's always supported us from the beginning. He wears our faces on his t-shirts, for fuck's sake.
Even when he streams, he does.
Yeah.
He got his shirts the other day. Did I tell you
cool.
that? Yeah, he got his shirts. He's running them on the stream, and he's super excited.
Yeah.
So
super nice guy. Go say hi to him. Go check out his channel. Bubble of energy. Really energetic guy. And just genuinely a good down-to-earth guy.
He's like me on sugar.
From Canada.
Blame Canada. Canadian sugar.
So yeah, we love James, aka T Grotto, and we suggest you go check him out. As far as us, tomorrow we'll have the review for Beyond the Gates going up, which is a little indie movie we talked about earlier, and then. As for Bytes and VR and all that shit, I have no idea.
We have a bunch done. We don't know which one.
It is nice to be ahead of the game. The only stuff we ever struggle to get together on time usually is reviews and Friday episodes, because they are so random in nature. But hopefully, if you guys like some of Keegan's editing stuff, he's going to be working on some more of that as well. Because
I did a live stream the other day that was supposed to archive, and I apparently didn't archive.
I'm upset that it didn't, because I didn't get to watch it.
I talked about this before, but it was funny because people got to see a lot of behind the scenes stuff, obviously, which is why I did it. But like even just the footage that we record that doesn't make it onto this camera, into the video, is hysterical.
So, thanks a lot for listening and or watching. If you're out in YouTube land,
if you're on YouTube and you like it, subscribe. If you're on YouTube and you do want to listen to us, go to iTunes or Google Play, or Stitcher. If you're on iTunes and you want to go to YouTube, level2gamers.com, and you can check out the videos there.
Pro tip, if you want to listen to this without watching this, don't just play the video and then put it in your pocket, because that'll burn your battery faster. Why don't you go ahead and subscribe to the iTunes
unless you have YouTube,
podcast.
Unless you have YouTube Red, then it doesn't matter, because you can do it on lock screen.
Yeah, but it's still going to burn your battery, right? because of video?
No, it doesn't play the video. If it's on lock screen,
Oh, it just doesn't play it?
yeah, it just plays audio.
Interesting.
So if
There
you have
go.
YouTube Red, you can do that. but-
YouTube Red and or go to iTunes
iTunes is
or
what is
Stitcher
obviously made for
or Google Play or whatever your
SoundCloud.
jam is. SoundCloud is a good place for our statistics, but honestly, it's I kind of prefer it when people go to iTunes and stuff because it's just
That's what I've got.
it's bigger.
That's what I got.
So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and as always,
Welcome to the second level. Bye.
It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.